For some of you joining the session, this is not rocket science. This is uh, a lot of straightforward material, but very recently, especially during this pandemic, what I've seen is a lot of clients, customers, and even startups that I mentor come up to me and the company asking what they should do. And many a times we've observed that a lot of entrepreneurs are first-time entrepreneurs, and they've gained a lot of experience in different roles at corporations and companies, but it's not necessary that they've run or tried to build their own company. And as a result, a lot of facets of the business world are alien to them. So what this session is about is understanding that in this time of COVID-19, where the world is seeing a cash crunch, where there's difficulties reaching the customer or getting your product out there, businesses need to survive, and more so startups who've kind of gotten into this cycle of raising capital and spending money, knowing there's another fundraise on the other side. But the truth is, this environment is a first for everybody, and there's a lot of challenges that are still to come. So we've put together a few slides that I believe are helpful for everyone to consider. Whether you're experienced, whether you're a first-time entrepreneur, whether you run your own businesses, sometimes one gets into the rut of things and is in firefighting mode so much that they kind of forget a lot of the basics. So the idea behind this session is to touch upon a few important drivers to consider, to keep your finger on, to help a company, be it an SME or a startup, extend their runway or their cash position to give them a better chance of making it through this period. The first slide I've put up is that of a maze, because many a times we find ourselves completely blank or stuck as if we're in a maze when it comes to financial matters or the running of a business. This is primarily because what we find ourselves in is the day-to-day running of our business. And the day-to-day running of our businesses doesn't necessarily mean keeping an eye on exactly how the financials are running. So finance is more than just the profit and loss statement of your business. It's actually understanding and using important drivers to go through your business performance and see where you need to make certain immediate decisions that would seriously impact the performance and running of your business in the short, medium, and long run. So because this is scary and it's alien, people try to shun away from it. People avoid getting into the details of something like this. So first area that I want to talk about, which I've surprisingly seen a lot of people not give any importance to, is budget. Many companies that are at small scale or just starting out haven't really raised capital yet. They forego the act of actually making a budget for a specific calendar or financial year. This is because they're so busy trying to just pick up their product, run with it, sell it, do user testing, and try and grow and show the metrics. But the reality is, what a budget does is just helps us keep ourselves in check. A budget is about thinking through how we foresee our business performance in terms of cash outflow and cash inflow work during a specific period. And by making this budget, we allow ourselves to think through the process of each of our functions, the important heads or cost drivers and revenue drivers, the departments that we have, and how they are impacting our business, how much money is needed for a specific function, and what that can mean for the business growth. And by making this budget, we have something to compare ourselves against on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on a 6-monthly basis, and then annually. And I'll be the first person to say that many people discount this because no one ever really meets their budget with 100% accurately ever, right? It just never happens. You maybe meet your revenue target, exceed it or not. You budget a specific amount of costs for your important departments in your company, but the reality is you've either overspent or underspent. Many department heads, when they budget in such a way where it gives them a grace period, so they're under project sales only to try and outperform them at the end of the year and qualify for a bonus. But what it really does is it helps you think through, monitor, and see where you're going. Because if you're not meeting or even coming within 15% of the targets that you've put in, something is clearly wrong, right? If you're not spending enough money in your marketing function, what's the reason behind it? Is it because you didn't have enough cash to support the spend in the marketing function? That raises alarm bells for other problems, but you only really know what you're monitoring. The next is something very basic, which I think everyone hears in college, in business school, and everywhere else, but that's cash is king. This is more important for SMEs and startups because of the world we find ourselves. Having worked across emerging markets, I'll be the first one to say that cash is very volatile. And if you're an online business in particular, if you're an e-commerce company, a lot of emerging markets haven't seen the kind of penetration of digital payments that developed markets out in the US or Europe, right? As a result of that, there's a cost of cash. There's a huge cost of cash. People do cash on delivery. That cash is changing hands. Many a time, you're not seeing that cash before 45 days. Why? Because your logistics provider is just running their own cycle with the cash, and guess what? They collect it first. So giving the importance to cash and actually monitoring that, both in budgetary terms as well as actual, could make or break one's business, especially if they're an SME or a startup. I, for one, have kind of seen this at large companies as well, who over time just didn't manage their cash flow well enough, got into debt traps, ended up taking lots of different loans. Because of how the economy is today, some of those loans have seen increased interest rates over the last couple of years. That's completely thrown their cash position out because they need to pay that loan payment, that interest payment back before anything else. So why do I say cash is king, right? It's important to build realistic cash flow assumptions in your budget, because you need to make sure that the actuals are accurate and they're frequently reported against that budget to make sure that our fingers on the pulse of our business. Over time, this is a practice that will ensure that one is on top of their cash and against their budget and plan. And this becomes more and more accurate as time goes on because you're reporting against your cash, you know exactly what your cash position is, you've budgeted your cash flows, which determine your next fundraise if that's something that you require, be it on raising debt or raising equity. So really understanding how cash inflows and outflows are running in your business will make or break it. And not only that, a positive handling of your cash flows means that a business is able to create a cash contingency for unexpected negative or tight cash flow situations. What this really means is COVID-19. In COVID-19, all of a sudden during this pandemic, with economies in lockdown, countries in lockdown, movement on lockdown, people at home, work from home being the first for everybody, you saw that cash position change very quickly. If one had managed or does manage their cash position well, forecasts it, budgets it, monitors it, knows what's coming and what's going, they're in a better position to keep that contingency. Now, if you have a contingency, when free market occurrences like COVID-19 occur, you're in a better position to kind of navigate yourself out of a tight position where you're out of cash. Because if you're out of cash, guess what? You can't pay your salaries, can't pay your creditors, debtors, you're in trouble, you can't pay your suppliers. What do you do next? You're trying to chase money, but so is everybody else. And that could result in your business just going out, you just going out of business. Another factor that's very much linked to your cash flow, how your business runs, are your receivables. One must know their receivables and be very, very proactive in ensuring that they're in a consistent cycle coming in. Because if not, that is what results in a cash crunch. So to ensure that one is committed and you're regularly making forecasts against your payment cycles from customers. Many times, it's easy to set smaller and more frequent payment cycles because it may make it easier for the customer to pay, and it may make it easier for you to realize when the payment has been delayed or something hasn't come in before it's too big a payment that impacts your business negatively, right? It allows you, if you're monitoring it and you're having reduced cycles, more of them, what it shows is a warning flag gets up immediately. And as soon as there's a warning flag, you know that you need to contact that customer, follow up on your payment. But guess what? Because it's frequent payments and smaller checks, if a couple of checks have been missed, it's not like there's a lot of money left on the table that you haven't got. So it allows you to come up with techniques that could incentivize that customer to make their payments. Beyond just creating payment cycles that are, more frequent and smaller sizes, making it easier for customers to pay, I would suggest having a system in place where you never wait too long before reminding a customer. It's okay to remind customers and clients about their dues, because if you're a company that's worked hard, and if you're an SME or a startup that's just starting out, just don't have endless amounts of cash available, it's okay to chase after your payments. In fact, it's encouraged to chase after your payments. So you have to follow up, follow up, follow up. Otherwise, if you're not serious about the cash coming into your business, a client will take their sweet time. Because guess what? Just as cash is important to your business, cash is important. Cash is important to somebody else's business as well. A couple of things you can think about when incentivizing accounts receivables and money that's expected to come into the business is creating bold due dates, for example. Bold due dates, aggressive reminders. Another thing you can look at is incentivizing a payback through payment discounts. Just like you have payment cycles that you've reduced in terms of, you have more frequent payment cycles in terms of reduced ticket size, by actually giving incentives on payment dates whereby a particular customer pays a certain amount upfront before a certain deadline is due, you can potentially give them a discount on the amount. These are important things to kind of consider right now, because what's happened during the pandemic is everybody's receivables have been impacted. Because everybody's receivables have been impacted, salaries are being delayed, and I'm seeing this across emerging markets. Salaries are being delayed. Because salaries are being delayed, payments, which is regular bill payments to utility companies and everything else, is being delayed. And if that's being delayed, then this cycle goes on and affects everybody in the chain. So by creating incentives today, you're making it easier, because guess what? They're liable to pay for the service that they've gotten, but they might pay your check before somebody else's if they feel that they're getting a better deal on paying your check. So these are a couple of things to consider to try and get that money out as quickly as possible. The next point I want to focus on is assessing risks and costs, right? And acting kind of accordingly. It's a surprise, but I've seen this very often. SMEs and large companies included, they incur a lot of costs repeatedly that they don't really focus on, because they don't look into their cost drivers with because they don't do that. There's a lot of underlying costs that run through the business for years sometimes. And it doesn't make a large difference, say, on a monthly basis, but over 2-3 years, if it's a cost that's not critical to the business, it can be a significant amount of money and cash that's going out. So really assess the risks of your business, what those risks are.
18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big heard throbbing cocks wanting to be sucked. 18 naked cowboys wanted to be fucked. Cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch on their knees wanting to suck cowboy cocks. Ram Ranch really rocks. Hot hard buff cowboys, their cocks throbbing hard.
Sorry. Uh,
Was this part of your presentation, Ali?
it wasn't. I was just completely
Well, you're back. Good to have you back.
thank you. Uh, shall I continue with where I was from? The next point just wanted to talk about was seeking growth efficiently, right? So seeking growth uh, about realizing that costs are high, seeking growth is high, just spending money on customer acquisition costs doesn't really help anybody. It's expensive today, and especially in emerging markets where a lot of the global platforms that you seek growth from and you seek customer acquisition from, they charge you in dollars. So charging in dollars is something that's very expensive across different markets, and revenue just doesn't come around the same. So seeking cost-effective avenues for growth is part of staying in the black as a function of reducing cash outflow, but simultaneously increasing cash inflow. So a great way to stay in the black is to find cost-effective areas, and these cost-effective areas increase marginal revenue over time. A great example of this is affiliate or channel partner models. So if you're doing affiliate marketing or have partner channel models which rely on success fees that are paid to sales partners, you're not putting that money out of your business before it comes back in. This is something we've seen a lot of companies recently do and implement, where they've created affiliate programs through mobile application tracking. And it essentially means that during COVID, we're seeing a lot of unemployment. People are trying to raise income from somewhere or the other. And it's not coming because they're losing their jobs, getting clients is very difficult. So what companies have done is they're trying to capitalize on this. And some of the smart movers have created affiliate programs, which basically mean that anybody can learn about their products online and anybody can go out and sell them. And as long as they go and sell them and get them that contract, they earn commission on sales as soon as it comes through. This is a great way to grow as a business and an SME without putting cash outflow up front. Another example is to kind of focus on the wallet size of your customer. A lot of people are seeking growth by acquiring new customers, and not enough companies focus on the customers they have in hand. So how does one look at the customer they have in hand, try and maximize the wallet amount of each customer by actually seeing their experience with the company and try and upselling them more and more products over time to keep them in their own funnel as long as possible. This simultaneously increases the number of types of products and services that are sold. It allows the customer to buy more services from you, thus keeping them loyal for a longer period of time. Both are great options for seeking growth and help your business move through this kind of times of uncertainty. Another thing I'd like to talk about is focusing on your core and partnering on that, right? So what does that mean? That means a lot of businesses, especially startups, they try and do too much. In the essence of raising funds, they want to do fintech when fintech really isn't really the core of their business, but guess what? It sounds cool. What that does is it takes away from the core business proposition. And whatever takes away from the core business proposition usually requires more time and money spent on it. So the advice is to kind of double down on what your core is, understand what your business is all about, the promise that you kind of set out with, the vision you set out with, and do everything to build according to that. Now, COVID may impact your business and this economy may be impacted quite drastically over the next couple of years. But if your core and your vision was aligned from day one, if you saw a need and there was a problem that you tried to address and the market opportunity was big enough, there is no way the business will not succeed in the future. You just need to focus on some of the points that I mentioned earlier and make sure that if it's fintech or any other value-added services, you partner for those. There are other SMEs in the market that are struggling equally and trying to do too many things at the same time. Identify ones that could be a part of your core proposition as additional value drivers that your customers could benefit from. This is a great way for new customer acquisition as well, because you find the right partner that there's a mutual collaboration or benefit from, then your customers are exposed to their products and their customers can be exposed to your products, allowing you to reach a new customer base without spending a single penny. Then I'd say don't compete on price, because a lot of people, what we're seeing is they're reducing their price and slashing things. Now, this may be a strategy that could make sense if you have perishable stock, But if you don't have perishable stock that's going to go to zero if you don't sell it, then don't price yourself down, because the reality is margins are shrinking daily. So you shrinking them further actively just makes it tougher for you to come back in. It's critical that getting into a price war is never done. A great example of this is the telecommunications industry, right? We've seen the telecommunications industry across the emerging markets, particularly, slash their prices and trying to compete with each other. But in slicing, we find ourselves in a position where it's hard to kind of increase our revenues the way we. And so understand the value of your product, understand the value of your service, and make sure that you're not getting it wrong. The last 2 points I'm going to quickly run over, and then if there's any questions, I'd love to take them. Are data-driven decision making and monitoring. Right? It's not enough businesses actually go deep enough into monitoring every aspect. This could be customer turnaround times for the service that they provide, focusing on their call center feedback or their customer feedback regarding their products, looking at everything that we discussed earlier, from cash flows and product and revenue receivables, to actually understanding how your marketing is performing with respect to conversions and whether it's cost efficient or not. So I would say monitoring and making a habit of monitoring your bootstrap fashion, you are giving yourself a better chance to improve your business performance. And that improvement in business performance could mean that when it is time to fundraise or the economic conditions do get better, you could raise at a better valuation than most, having proven that you could make it through the tough times and actually improve your business model along the way. The tool we look at when we work with companies is how we break it. Break it up through leadership and culture, operations and scale, finance and growth, and lastly, technology. The core drivers of every business. So the kind of parting advice I'd like to give and think about is look at your business with the lens of these four drivers and create quarterly targets that you feel would help you drive that business forward, help your culture and leadership, your operations and scale, and how you can use technology and innovation not only to increase growth, but really help your business succeed. So that's